In this video today, I'm sharing with you a class that I'm taking that is all about lettering. And it's something I've been wanting to pursue for a while, and it was the perfect opportunity because Lilla Rogers of Make Art That Sells, she started a lettering class, and this is her first one, and I signed up. It's lettering boot camp. Now, I've taken many of Lilla's classes and they're all amazing, full of insanely talented people that inspire you and uplift you, and this lettering class is no different. So it's a 3-month class. I think it's a 3-month class. And I just finished my first month with my first assignment, and it was a lettering project to design a chocolate package or a chocolate bar design. And I decided going into this that I wanted to do all of my lettering with my hand-carved stamps. So that was my approach to this. I had some lettering sketched out that I tried to follow her inspiration going along with her mini. She has little mini assignments for the first week. She does 5 in 1 week, 1 each day. So you just practice lettering. And this was one of the styles, which was with the little triangles in the middle parts of the lettering. I don't know what that's called. And I have loved this design idea, and I've been wanting to make a set of alphabet stamps because I just love this style and I think it would look really cool. That's coming. I'm gonna do that probably before the end of this class. But for this assignment, I pursued a chocolate logo, and I sort of incorporated a little bit of calligraphy in with this style of design. And this is the stamp, and this is how it came out. I'm gonna share with you my carving of it. It wasn't easy. I chose a material that I'm not particularly in love with, and we talk about that in this video. And I'm just gonna share with you me carving this stamp that says chocolate. This is the rose design that I'm working on now for this particular chocolate bar. I traced it onto this paper, which I'm going to transfer to some rubber material and carve this into a stamp. Ultimately, I'd like to refine this alphabet here and carve all of these individual letters. I think that would be a cool set to have, and it would be a fun lettering reference for me to have in my portfolio. And I think I'm gonna try to get this done before the end of the class. So I worked with some rose ideas, and this is from this particular rose stamp that I carved years ago. I carved it years ago, and that's a technique that I do with my stamps and watercolor. And I think it's a beautiful effect, and I'm so excited to share it with you. I have so many ideas for this, and I think this rose stamp is the perfect place to start with it. This is another little sketched out reference for this design I'm working on. I like the pastel of these flowers here, but for this particular design, the boldness of this lettering, I think I want more bold, bright roses than the pastel ones. But I do like these. So I'm gonna transfer this to some rubber material, and then I'm gonna carve it. I'm not gonna use the ultimate rubber material for this because I don't know how much leverage I'll get from this particular word stamp, and meaning that I don't know how often I'm gonna have to be stamping it again and again and again. And this particular material, which I'll show you what it is. This particular material is this. I got it on Amazon. It's okay, I'm not in love with it. It does get a little firm after a while, and that makes it hard to stamp with, and it doesn't have any give. And when that happens, the impression can be not great, and it's just not my favorite material. And that's why on a stamp like this, I use the pink Speedy Carve. It's my favorite, and it holds up, and it gives me a lot of endurance. This is one of the great things about using this transparent tracing paper. It just makes it so much easier. And I can just flip it over before I transfer it. So I'm gonna burnish it with this folding tool. And then just transfer. I probably should have taped it into place, but I didn't. So I'm just gonna make sure that I don't shift my hands. And then make sure that I really transfer it thoroughly. Yeah, there's a lot of detail that I want to make sure I get. And that's good enough for now, because I'll come back over with a dark fine lining permanent pen, and I'm just going to go over the outside of the design so it's really clear to me where I'm carving. And it's not going to be perfect, because nothing I ever do is, And that's sort of my style. So I try not to worry too much about the details, but I do want it to look nice. Well, I've outlined it so that it's nice and clear. Now I'm going to cut it away from the larger block, and then I'll start carving it. I'm doing my best to kind of keep it even here along the bottom to make the arch where the actual movement of the lettering goes, so that it keeps me somewhat on track when I'm stamping it, so that when it's turned over, I'll know where it basically is, and I'll get an idea of where it's going to be landing. Let's carve this. All right, so I'm using a number 1 V-shaped blade. It's the little small V, and I'm using an X-Acto knife. I'm just gonna jump right in. I'm gonna go around the outside, and I'm gonna move the material, not the blade. Actually, I'm gonna do both. There's a balance. Oh, see, I almost went into that part of the C, and I did a little bit, but I think I can get away with it. I started off a little fast, so I'm gonna slow down and take my time. If these little corners bother you, it might be better to start from the corner with the V-shaped blade, like on this H here, and then just go ahead and make your point right there so that you know that's where what you're working from. And then you don't have to worry about coming in and making the turn with your blade. This is one of those cases where you can really see the tiniest movement with your blade can make an impact on your design. And that also is in reference to pressure. How much pressure I'm applying when I'm moving the blade. And another thing, I try not to make a big long pass. Sometimes it's easy when you get going with one pass on the blade to not want to lift your blade and start again because you think you're succeeding because you haven't lifted your blade. So I'm here to say, lift your blade, keep yourself where you want to go, because there is a point where you kind of lose a little bit of control if you're just concerned about like peeling the orange with one big orange peel. It's not the same. You can't do that with this. I'm going to stop here and I'm going to change my blade. I don't like the way that this material carves, but I want to get through it, and I think changing my blade will give me a better handle on that. Make sure it's nice and tight. It can be a little tricky. It just takes a little practice changing these blades. So let's see if this makes a difference. Not really. I'm not in love with this material. It's really resistant to carve, and I'm not enjoying it. The thing is, I'm really having to use a lot of pressure to carve, and that's not the kind of carving I like to do. I know that if this was actual linoleum that I was carving on, it wouldn't be very easy either. But if it was linoleum, I'd have a different tool that would work better. I just don't like this material. I'm really a fan of what I like, and this is not it. So I will not be buying this product again. That's my opinion. If you like it, great, but it's not the product for me. This detail work inside the letters, I'm gonna use my X-Acto blade because I feel like I'm gonna have way more control. And I use the tip pointed away from the line that I'm carving. And I don't go too fast. And I gently move a little bit of the blade, but mostly the material. I'm going to take this one little corner out with my blade. Now I've got the A, the T, and the E, and this little loop in the letter C. All right, so again, sometimes if you get impatient, it can get really messy, so just make nice little passes if you want more control. And I must say, control is an illusion, because you just never know. Ooh. And I can see the roughness of the way I'm carving it, and I like that because it's going to give it a real edgy look. And as I come into the tight areas, I lift my blade up so it doesn't go down underneath the area that's supposed to be staying, and loosen that, meaning that L. If I would have had the blade going pushed down further than just a little 1/8 or 3/16 of an inch in, it would loosen this underneath. It would not make that L so secure. Okay, so I'm going to take a quick impression because I think I have everything removed, and I'll see how it looks. All right, I'm just going to use this gray ink, and oh, I missed a whole part. Well, before I do anything, I'm going to wipe that off and carve that. I thought I had everything carved. I did not, so I'm going to carve this really fast. Well, not really fast. I'm going to be smart about it. Okay, and I wanted to separate this O and this C. I'm just going to do a really light removal of that line there, and I can already tell I want this to go. And I'm going to know I want this to go. And this might need to be cleaned up just a little bit. And then this little section right here between the E and the T. All right, I'm just gonna take a test print and we'll see how this works. Okay, it needs a little help. I'm gonna stamp it on this marker paper here, and hopefully I'll get a better idea. I'll have more clarity on what needs to be worked on. It did shift a little bit here, but I have a really good idea what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm done with carving this stamp, and I'm done with it because it was a bit of a hassle. I normally save the scraps of any carving material I have, and I'm thinking of not saving this because it was such a pain to carve that, I don't know. I mean, maybe I could just do some simple shapes, but I won't use them. And I think I'm just gonna end up putting these into my trash, unfortunately. I probably won't at the last minute. I'll probably change my mind, but I'm threatening to do it now. And of course, I didn't throw them away. I ended up carving 2 of the large pieces into these big, chunky, abstract shapes that I think turned out kind of cool. And I have a feeling I'll probably be using these stamps in the future. So as much as I thought I wasn't going to use that material, I did. This was not fun to carve, but it turned out okay. Here it is on a piece of cardstock. This was the marker paper with the gray ink. You can see how it reacts with the smooth surface of the paper. And that ink, I needed the ink to grab a little bit more, so I used this more toothy paper, and I'm gonna try a few more other papers, and then I'm gonna scan it in with my artwork and see what I can come up with. But before I start, first I'm gonna stamp it in my sketchbook, just so I have a reference from this sketch to the stamp. Not that I keep myself organized with reference, but it's an attempt. It's kind of cute. I like it. So this was my final design for my submission to my class assignment, and I was quite happy with it. So that's one assignment down. I have 2 more to go with her. It's a lot of fun. I'm really glad to be back in the MATS community, and it just feels really good to be in class and making creative things that I'm learning a lot with. Listen, if you're new to this channel, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss anything, and certainly leave a comment, and a thumbs up is always welcome. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.